the Holy Gospel according to St. John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Near the cross of Jesus stood his mother and his mother's sister, Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary of Magdala. Seeing his mother and the disciples he loved standing near her, Jesus said to his mother, "Woman, this is your son." Then to the disciple he said, "This is your mother." And from that moment the disciple made a place for her in his home. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
The month of September is dedicated to Our Lady of Sorrows. Therefore, today we're celebrating the summit of the month, a celebration that we should always have in mind as we go through the month of September, the sorrows of our Mother Mary. Why did our mother have to suffer? Is this what it means when the angel came and said to Mary, "Rejoice, highly favored one"? Is it the same thing that it meant when Elizabeth said to Mary, "You are blessed amongst women"? This is what it entailed. From the time Jesus was born to the time that Jesus died, Mary went through unspeakable suffering, unspeakable sorrow, which we already know. The church gives us 9 of those suffering. 7 of them. But it is more than that, because from the very moment that Jesus was born, we know that Joseph shortly, maybe about 12 years or 13 years after Jesus was born, died. And Mary was left as a widow, and she had to endure everything. She had only one child, it was Jesus, and she knew the opposition that Jesus was facing at the time, and therefore it was definitely difficult for her from the very moment that Jesus was born, knowing that Jesus was special, knowing that there was a mission that he had to fulfill, knowing that eventually he would have to bring to fulfillment that mission. And Mary had to unite with Jesus in that mission. It was not easy because nobody would understand except Jesus and Mary. And today's gospel reminds us of the peak of this suffering of Mary. It's something that any mother in this life would never wants to see or wants to experience, standing and watching her son die slowly. Nobody would want to ever experience that. But Mary had to go through that, even though she was highly favored, even though she was special in God's eyes, even though she was blessed. I want to stress most especially about the third sort of sorrow that Mary experienced, which was when Jesus was lost in the temple. And it just reminds me, and especially when I was reflecting on this yesterday, that the Bible talks about 3 days that Jesus was lost. But I always consider it 5 days, because they made a journey of 1 day, and then they realized Jesus was not with them, and they made another journey of 1 day back to Jerusalem, and then they looked for him for 3 days, and they did not find him. I just want to remind us about the urgency with which Mary looked for Jesus. The moment she realized that Jesus was not with them, she did not care the journey they had made of 1 day. She left everything. She left her relatives. She left her relations. She left virtually everything. She forgot about even the journey she has made and went back in search of Jesus, because she knew the importance of Jesus in her life. Her life was nothing without Jesus. Her life was nothing without Jesus. And that is why she did not rest until she had found Jesus. Even when she went to Jerusalem to Jerusalem, I'm sure she didn't even have time to eat. But she kept looking and looking and searching until she finally found Jesus. And when she found Jesus, she was filled with such great joy to have recovered that which she had lost. And my dear brothers and sisters, many times in our lives, through our deeds, through the things that we go through in life, we lose the sense of Jesus. We lose Jesus in our lives. Maybe the relationships that we have might put us in a relation where we risk losing Jesus in our lives, where we risk the life of Jesus in our lives. And like Mary, in one of our sorrows being the loss of Jesus, that we must also make that journey and to leave everything. If we have realized that we are losing Jesus, if we realize that we risk losing Jesus in our lives, we have to do everything possible to get him back. There are people especially who do not receive Holy Eucharist today, and if you ask them, you say, no, I cannot receive because of this reason, or because of that reason, or because of this reason. And the question is there nothing they can do about it? Is there nothing we can do about it? Definitely there are things we can do about it, but maybe we are just sitting behind and laid down, we are just sitting behind and we don't want to do anything about it, as if there is nothing that we can do. We can definitely do something about it and regain the life with Christ. There are many people who do not go for the sacraments today. There are many people who do not go to church, maybe because there is an obstacle. Hey, we just need to stand up and overcome that obstacle. There is nothing that is impossible. There is nothing we cannot do in order to regain the life with Jesus. Mary taught us one thing, that she left everything. It didn't matter what she had achieved in life. It didn't matter the journey that they had made away from Jerusalem. She did not even risk losing her relationship and her relations, that we are going back to home because she went back to search for Jesus. She did not really mind. She had to leave everything behind and to search Jesus and to look for Jesus. And there are many times also that we are broken down and laid down by our own sinfulness. And we feel, no, we cannot make it back to God. It is so difficult. I feel so guilty. I feel my sins are too much. I cannot get back to God. Hey, and we just need to do the right things again. And we have everything the church has laid down for us in order to come back to him. And coming back, therefore, to the gospel of today, when Jesus calls her own mother woman, it reminds us of our universal mother, who is Eve. And Jesus reminds us that our mother is also that woman who is our mother, which is symbolic now of the church. And we, her children, are symbolized by John. And he says, woman, behold your son. And that we all belong to the church. And the church has made every opportunity for us to regain the life with Jesus. We need to come back to the church. We need to be united with the church. We need to seek out and reach out to the church, because Jesus has given us the church as a way of salvation, as the path towards coming back to him. Mary symbolizes mother, but also Mary by herself symbolizes mother directly, that Jesus gave us her mother in our sorrow, in our difficulties, that even when we go through our own difficulties, we may remember that even though Mary was highly favored, she still went through suffering. Even when we are highly favored by the fact that we are Christians, by the fact that we are loved by God, by the fact that we have the privilege to be called children of God, it is not like we are called minus suffering. No. Suffering is part of our lives. Just like we said yesterday, the cross is part of the life that we have been called to. And therefore, as we celebrate these sorrows of Mary today, let us be reminded that we ourselves will also suffer, but let us unite our suffering with Mary. And Jesus has given us already the gift of our mother, that whenever we go through difficulties, we would always cry out to her, and she always intercede for our own difficulties as well, because she went through it herself.